All right, it's the top of the hour, so I like to be very timely. This is the Chemist Corner Forum question and answer session about cosmetic science. I'm Perry Romanowski from Chemist Corner. I'm also from the IFSCC on the education committee there, and so we have a little bit of overlap there. With me today is Dennis Abbeduto from Colonial Chemical. You heard a little of his introduction there, and before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping notes. If you have a question, put it in the chat. We will be answering questions live. We were also sent in a number of questions. Dennis, I think it was 70 or 75 questions.
Right, yeah, quite a few.
Yeah. So that's a lot to get through in an hour. We'll see. We'll see how much we get to. But we do like the live questions, and we'll answer those. So put your questions in the chat. Additionally, this is being recorded, so if you have to check out a little early, you can go back and see the rest. I want you to check out, there's an offer there for a course and how to get some money off of a raw material course that I have put together. Feel free to take advantage of that. Dennis has shared a brochure from Colonial. If you're interested in the products they have available for formulating. You guys also have that Formula Girls podcast, which I always find interesting, a little 5-minute. Are you involved in it? I hear you on there sometimes.
I've been a guest Formula Girl or boy for on I think one or two occasions. It's mostly Molly McHenry, who's our applications manager for personal care, and Christine Anderson, who is our marketing coordinator with Colonial. And so, yeah, that's available in the Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, it's called Formula Girls. It's 5 minutes, and they just talk about one formula. It's very excellent. So, all right, let's get started with some slides here, Dennis. This is just a quick introduction. This will be less than 2 minutes. This is the Cosmetic Formulating question and answer session. It's Dennis Abbeduto. I'm Perry Romanowski. I just want to go over what we're going to be able to cover. We'll cover things about ingredients. We have some formulation questions. As far as ingredients, a lot of people have asked us about preservatives and emulsifiers and thickeners, so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about production, scale-up questions. Any of those live questions you have there, we'll do our best to answer. But some questions take more research and information than others, so we'll do a better or worse job on some. And I also want to mention that there are limitations to what we can answer. If you're asking for formulation troubleshooting ideas, I mean, we can just spitball some ideas, but if we don't have your ingredients, your suppliers, your percentages, we can't really give great answers to a lot of things. We're also not here to provide you with free formulas. There are the sources on Chemist Corner. There's a discussion that says where to find free formulas. Just go there. If you need any kind of formula, you can find it in those sources. Vague questions are also difficult for us to answer. We'll do our best, but if you haven't given a specific enough question, I think somebody, on one of the questions, someone said, what do you think of skincare production? I mean, so it's not specific enough.
I think it's great.
Yeah, exactly. And then also, we're not here to give specific legal and regulatory questions. We certainly can chime in on our opinions about things, but neither of us are lawyers, unless you've got a legal degree, Dennis. Since I've no,
not not recently.
Yeah. So neither of us are lawyers. We are formulators, and so we defer on those kinds of questions. I also want to add this disclaimer: the answers are based on our professional experience and education. But they are in no way, there's an implicit guarantee that anything we say is going to specifically work for you. Formulating is a complicated business. Okay, just here's contact information for Dennis. Dennis works at Colonial Chemical, personal care business manager, and you can contact him directly there. He's also on the forum. He's a soapy guy on the forum, and he checks in the Chemist Corner forum every so often. Speaking of that, Dennis, you want to mention about the Gold Star Award?
Green Star, yeah. So
the Green Star Award. Right?
Yeah. So this is a award through the United States Society of Cosmetic Chemists, but it's really open to formulators globally. It's not restricted to just U.S. formulators. It is designed to showcase and give kudos to innovative formulations that improve and increase the use of green chemistry for ostensibly, personal care and cosmetics. Yeah. So we sponsor the award. We don't select the awardees. That's done through the society and the Committee on Scientific Affairs. So we don't. I happily hand that award plaque to the winner every year, but like I said, we're not the ones that select it. So don't like think it has to use our ingredients to be eligible. So.
But it's like in the Academy Awards. You don't pick them. You just hand out the trophies, right?
Right, exactly. That's it.
So there's a procedure on how to apply for that. I think the application is free, right?
Yeah, it's a free application. You just go through everything's on the website, and then that they've because of the pandemic, they've extended the deadline until the end of this month. But once that's over, that will be over. So.
Yeah, excellent. Well, that's an excellent program you guys out there. I just want to point out, you probably already know this, but we have all kinds of discussions on Chemist Corner at the forum, and so feel free to go there. There's also the offer. Check the offer. It's a raw material course that we just launched in the spring. So feel free to go take a look at that. There's a link on how to get there. All right. You ready to answer some questions, Dennis?
Yeah, absolutely.
We've already got a ton.
Do it all
there.
Day.
So, do you want to start with that? The question about the hair conditioner formula, the solid hair conditioner formula.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I saw it came up in the questions bar too. So
let me read through this one.
Yeah.
It said, "Is it possible to replace completely BTMS 5025?" With BTMC 85 in a solid hair conditioner. Also, would it be best to have? Is there a best palm-free substitute?
Right. So we've been doing a fair bit with these new solid form products, and so I think that would be really easy to do. Kind of the biggest thing that I talk to folks about when formulating these products is really the payout. How much of the product ends up on the hair when you're applying it, and so that's modified by your carrier materials, things like fatty alcohols or butters or whatever else you might want to incorporate into those products, and so that's really the thing to watch out for. You want to make sure that you're delivering enough of your conditioning aids so that you're delivering the performance that you want from that formulation. But not too much either, because these quats can be irritating, and so there's a balance there, and you don't want the product to dissolve too quickly either, because that's consumers not going to be happy about that when they only get fewer uses than they expect out of the product. So,
a related question to that is this question of safety.
Right.
The BTMS, it's this recommended use level, I think maybe up to 10%. But when you put it into a hair conditioner bar, for example,
right, you're going to use a lot more. Yeah, right, you're going to be using a lot more because you're only going to be getting out so much of that, per use.
Right,
and so there's ways to kind of predict that. You could weigh your bar before you use it. Get it in the shower, use it. Put it aside, dry it again, and weigh it again, and get an idea of how much is actually being dissolved from the bar. Each time that it gets used, and that's important to know to assess the safety and from the product. So
but definitely when you're using 65% in a solid bar, that doesn't mean you're delivering 65% to people's skin. So it's
right.
But that is certainly a possible issue there to consider. All right, we're getting through our questions now. Let's Dennis, we're gonna hop to the topic of emulsifiers. So here a question came into us from Jen. She says, "Can acacia gum be used to emulsify and thicken oil and water emulsions? And does the gum contain sugar? And could you suggest some sort of natural, organic, sugar-free thickener? Sugar-free thickener, I guess.
Yeah, if you're on a diet.
Yeah. Well, first of all, don't eat your cosmetics, right? But I mean, I looked it up. Acacia gum it's not really an emulsifier, and I think I've seen people think that like acacia gum or xanthan gum, these are not emulsifiers. Emulsifiers are specifically surfactants that combine oils and water. Thickeners here just affect the rheology, and they don't necessarily affect or will keep together oils and waters. You do need a surfactant.
Yeah. Well, I guess, in theory, you could get enough energy into a system where you might not need, hardly any emulsifier. And then if you could stabilize it, at that point, then you could possibly have something. But I would think that something like that would probably not very stable over the long term. Really, the emulsifier is the key to creating the stable emulsion. The mixture of oil and water that's not going to separate.
Exactly, those things are good thickeners. Now, I looked at some of the cellulose thickeners, hydroxyethyl cellulose.
Yeah, that would be sugar-free. But polysaccharides, and acacia gum is one of them. Xanthan gum, those technically are, sugar based or whatever. They're chains of sugars, very, very long chains of sugar. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, technically they wouldn't be a sugar-free. I mean, I guess clays would be sugar-free.
Sugar-free, yeah. But the cellulosics, I think, is probably the easiest to work with and quote-unquote sugar-free.
Yeah. But I've got to be honest, I'm scratching my head a little bit about why you need sugar-free. But okay, let's move on to the next one. It comes to us from Erlis. Actually, Erlis, maybe from Cuba. Is xanthan gum a good emulsifier? Or is it as good as cetearyl alcohol?
Well, neither are.
Yeah, neither of those would be emulsifiers. Yeah. Xanthan gum is just, as we said, it's a thickener and a stabilizer. I mean, it could help to suspend the emulsion particles, but it's not going to create them.
Yeah, in the liquid crystal emulsion theory, the fatty alcohol participates is part of that system, but it's not, and so you may think of it as a co-emulsifier in a way, but really it's certainly not a primary emulsifier, and definitely not something that you would use to help oil and water mix. It's more like the oil.
Yeah, so really what you have is, in an emulsion, you have the oil particles suspended, or it could be the opposite, water particles are suspended, but the oil stuff will go into the oils and the water stuff will go into the water, and the surfactants will stabilize those particles. The fatty alcohol, acetyl alcohol, the tail of that is going to stick in, and then maybe the OH will be on the outside, but it's not emulsifying. You still need an emulsifier to do that. Next emulsifier question, Dennis. Nancy says, I have some nice oils that I want to use to make my own body cream. I used steeped herbs for the water portion. I'd like to use an emulsifier to help keep the ingredients together. How much of the emulsifier do I use in a recipe of 8% water? Now, I should say a question like this is, if you don't know the oils, it's hard to give.
And then it's going to make a big difference as to, whether or not you want the oil to be inside the emulsion or outside the emulsion. And you can create high internal phase emulsions, even though if you have 80% oil, you could still fit all that oil inside the emulsifier. But typically, you'll need a lot of emulsifier to do that. If you're doing an oil and water, where the oil's where the water or water and oil, where the water is inside the oil, you could use a lot less emulsifier, and you'd use a completely different emulsifier to do that. So that's where the Bancroft rule applies. That usually the phase that the emulsifier is soluble in is the continuous phase of the emulsion.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there was a follow-up. Elena says, which is the most diverse natural emulsifier? And she suggests maybe olive M.
What do you mean diverse?
Yes, I think like if you had to pick one emulsifier and you didn't know anything else
that
about
would
the
do a
system.
whole, like a silver bullet,
Right.
one
Yeah.
size fits all, and it has to be natural. Yeah, that's going to be a little bit challenging,
Right.
because once you get into the natural emulsifiers, you're a little bit more tuned in. I can say that the polyglycerol esters are probably better replacements than some of the others, because they are relatively polydisperse, and that polydispersion, or the number of different sizes of the emulsifier, helps to create a wide variety of stable emulsions.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree with that. All right, we got. Let's see, we got one more emulsifier question, and then we'll move on to another one here. Just following up on that one from Nancy, she says, what portion should I use? I would also say that there's no magic ratio that works every time. If you want to figure out how much emulsifier to oil do I use, you just have to experiment. As far as how much oil should you use in a lotion, again, you can use 15%, you can use 40%. It really depends on what kind of feel and what kind of effects you want to get.
Right.
Approximate ratios, I don't know, starting out, Dennis, what about a 4-to-1 ratio?
Rule of thumb, I usually say 5-to-1, 4-to-1, close enough.
So that's oil to emulsifier?
Right.
Yeah,
yes.
So 5 times as much oil to 1 time emulsifier. So that's a start. That's not a guarantee that that's going to work out, but if you're just kind of starting out, there's a good guess. Okay, last emulsifier question. What are the best emulsifiers to stop the soaping effect in creams, and what would the percentages be to do that? I mean, really, if you want to stop soaping, you use silicones, right?
Right. Yeah. Or even the silicone replacement. So light esters, things like glycerol caprolate, cocaprolate, all these kind of things that are being promoted as the D5 replacements are great at limiting the that soaping effect. Soaping can be a challenge. I think a lot of it depends on the part that's the oil-loving piece. So usually the bigger the oil-loving piece is, the less soaping that you get, but that's no guarantee.
Yeah, absolutely. All right,
a lot of it's the relative proportions of the oil and water and so on. So
yeah. All right, that was our emulsion corner there. So we got a lot more questions about emulsions, but let's shift gears here, and we'll go into a couple of industry-ish questions. Dennis, both of you and I got into the cosmetic industry. Here's one from Margaret. She says, how can a college student who wants to pursue a job in the cosmetic formulation field get started? Where do you learn, and how do you network and connect with experts in the field?
Right. Yeah. So certainly, educating yourself. There's a lot of free resources, so you can, subscribe free to a lot of industry magazines. The Society of Cosmetic Chemists has, reduced fees for students and recent graduates. And the Society of Cosmetic Chemists is a great place to network and talk to other people in the industry, and maybe meet somebody in your area that's hiring. So there are how many chapters?
There's 19 chapters.
19 chapters.
18 or 19,
all throughout the United States and Canada. And throughout the world through the IFSCC, and those are all great organizations to plug into to start talking to people. Entry level job typically looks like a either quality job, analyzing batches as they come off the the production line to make sure that they look all right, or as a technician in the formulation lab, and a lot of times those are hired through temp agencies. But it's always worth reaching out to a company that you think is interesting, and see if they're hiring anybody to do work for them. So
yeah, we used a lot of a lot of temporary workers who eventually became workers.
Yeah, and they're now, actually advanced in the industry now. So
that's right. I would also add, social media is free. You can connect with a lot of cosmetic chemists and formulators through social media. Now, some of them are more, I don't know, legitimate than others, because a lot of people will take credentials as formulators and all they learned about formulating was on the internet. It's a job you actually have to do, and being in the industry gives you a certain different perspective than someone who's learned it in their kitchen. Not that you can't learn formulating in your kitchen, you certainly can, but you get if you're looking to get a job in the cosmetic industry, the stuff you learn online through hobbyist or DIY sites really is not going to be adequate.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to say is that a lot of times, the things that we talked about, Society of Cosmetic Chemists, the industry magazines, they're looking for people in advertising through those channels as well. So if you're, it works both ways. It wouldn't just be you trying to search out. There's companies actively looking through those ways to find people to staff their companies.
Absolutely. Now, I just want to say we got the questions coming fast and furious. There's no way we're going to get to all the questions. However, keep posting them. I will do my best to get you an answer. If I don't get it live here, we'll get it via emails there. And certainly, if you sent in your question early, we've already gone through and answered those via email, or I'll send you an email there if you've shared that. All right, Dennis, you ready for another topic? Let's go industry. Here's a question. Tiffany says, my question is slightly off topic, but I'm looking for a cosmetic chemist to help me create a hair conditioner for strength and growth stimulation. And then one green conditioner and one regular conditioner, but both targeting strength and softness. Can you possibly point me in the right direction?
Right. Yeah. So there's a lot of independent formulators and formulating consultants in the industry. And again, I think, the channels we already talked about are here's somebody, again, looking to staff, their small company with somebody on a contract basis probably would make the most sense for them. And there's a lot of folks out there like that. So.
One of the things I did want to, that question does highlight something that I wanted to mention, though. When you're asking about hair growth, you really have to temper your expectations about what cosmetics can do. Cosmetics are not allowed to have an impact on hair growth stimulation like that. That would make them a drug. There is a topical drug that's approved for that in the United States, and that's minoxidil. And you can make some claims related to that. But I think that's a licensed ingredient. Right. Essentially, there aren't really ingredients that have proven effects that you could claim on a cosmetic that's going to stimulate hair growth.
Right. Yeah. You could say, gives the appearance of fuller hair, and then wink, wink. Maybe it does help a little bit, but even minoxidil, clinically, gone through everything that it needed to, doesn't work for everybody, and the effects, vary a lot, from person to person. So
exactly.
Yeah. Just on this topic, something that I talk about a lot when a marketer or brand is going out and looking, to approaching somebody like us, for ideas for a formulation. I have what I call the 3 Ps that you should think about before you get to that point, and that's price, positioning, and performance. So, price. How much do you want to put into this product, whatever it is? You should have a good idea of what your cost is going to be going in up front. Positioning, what are the sort of claims that you're going to be trying to make? Are you going to be directing your product towards, the natural consumer, men, women, children, and then performance? You should really have some benchmarks in mind in terms of how you want the product to behave. That's going to make it a lot easier for the formulator to meet your needs.
Yeah, benchmarks are key. All right, Dennis, why don't we go to some of these live questions? We're getting a ton of them. I fear that some of them are falling off my radar here, but here's one that says, it's from, I'm going to need my glasses for these. Sorry, I like to pretend I don't wear glasses. But, all right, Shazab says, what are the primary and secondary surfactants in an herbal shampoo? Um,
Well,
the primary ones.
yeah. I mean, primary surfactants. If you're okay with sulfates, then SLS,
Ammonium
SLES
lauryl
are the
sulfate, ammonium lauryl
industry
sulfate.
workhorses. Yeah, ammonium lauryl sulfate. Yeah. So and then sulfate free. A lot of people use the olefin sulfonates as a relatively easy to work with, low cost of entry to get into sulfate free, and then you start getting into the more exotic sulfate free surfactants. Glutamates, glycinates, and it
Glucosides,
goes,
yeah, very popular.
Our APG derivatives fit in there, and then secondaries are usually amphoteric surfactants, so betanes, sultanes, amphoacetates, amphopropionates, that class of chemistry.
So there's a lot of options. All right, Vivian says, what's best to use on a sunburn? Sunscreen? No, don't get sunburn.
For to start, but after the fact, you're looking, primarily to reduce, irritation, reduce inflammation, and so there are, I'm sure plenty of things that folks will tell you that do both of those things. So,
I mean, so good. You need moisture there, and you need soothing, So, all right. Santa says, please name some sulfate-free surfactants. We just did that. Hopefully, that was good. We've got Sanjita says, I have indigo-based black hair color, which fades away after one wash. Without adding PPD and ammonia, how can I make the color stay for 2 to 3 washes?
Yeah, you want to get that ammonia or the dye into the hair, and the only way to do that is by getting the pH up. And so that usually involves using, some kind of base. Ammonia thioglycolate is quite common. Hydroxides are common, and that's the key to opening up the cuticle to get the dye in, and then you close it back up with your acid wash after. So. Otherwise, it's hard for stuff to penetrate into the hair. You can imagine, again, that outside of the hair is kind of like the bark on a tree. You can't see the inside of the tree very easily, nor can you touch it very easily. So
and so you got to open it up, and of course, doing that damages it. But hey, getting a good-looking hair is not always damage-free. Okay. Baraga says, what works best conditioning in a sulfate and silicone-free shampoo?
Again, this is going to depend on the positioning of the product. So there are a lot of conditioning aids out there that would work perfectly well. Polyquats are
the polyquat, the cationic polymers are going to work pretty well. For some people.
There are there's some surfactants that have kind of net positive charge that'll do some conditioning as well. And then that's really I guess the two best ways to do that. You're going to have some sort of molecule that has a net positive charge that's going to be left behind, and hopefully going to have a fairly either large molecular weight or fatty moiety that's going to give the conditioned feel.
I think that's one of the key things that you got to understand about shampoos and conditioning agents. The conditioning agent has to stay there. It has to be left behind. I see a lot of times people will put natural oils and stuff in their shampoos, and all you're doing is you're making your shampoo not work as good. And it all just washes away because there's no mechanism that makes it stick. And if a conditioner's not sticking to your hair, it's not working. All right, we got these questions coming fast and furious. There we go. Olga says, I'm trying to make a lightening serum with 3% kojic acid and 2% derma white, but it made my skin very yellow instead. Any advice?
Not knowing what the rest of the formula is, I wouldn't expect that effect from the kojic acid. I'm not familiar with derma white. Obviously, it's a trade name. Don't know what the chemistry is there, but
it's hard to know. I mean, the only thing that really is proven to work is hydroquinone. other ones,
which is
evidence is a
considered
lot less
toxic, it's basically whatever the bad category is for the FDA.
It's an OTC. It's a regulated
right,
percentage, both in the United States and even in Europe. It's not over the counter, but although you can get a prescription for it. But
right, I think there's other things out there that I think have fairly decent efficacy data. Kojic acid's probably one of the better
Kojic
ones.
acid, niacinamide, vitamin C. Some people are impressed with licorice extract. What I'm suggesting is the only thing that's gone through clinical trials and had proof to the level of what the FDA would require is really hydroquinone.
Right. Yeah, and that's not even considered by the FDA to be grass. So.
Right. It's not. All right, Sanjita. I have an anhydrous oil-based lip balm. Can I use BHT and BHA both for preservation, though these are antioxidants? Do they act equivalent to a preservative? If not, is there anything else I can use as a preservative?
Right. Yeah. So they're not. The function is very different. Between an antioxidant and a preservative. In some cases, you can get ingredients that'll do both things, but. Yeah, and I would say, I think too that there's, depending on what their market is, that there's definitely a segment of the consumer market that is trying to avoid BHA and BHT in products in general.
I don't think it would qualify for a lot of the clean beauty standards.
Right. Yeah. And, I think, I've seen a question come up a couple of times too about, preserving, maybe we'll get to the preservatives. I guess that's a whole thing in and of itself, but.
We got a whole section on that. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We'll start that next. Well, I want to point out that I think the confusion comes in where people think of preservatives and food preservatives and cosmetic preservatives as the same. They're not. When we talk about preservatives and cosmetics, we're talking about antimicrobial ingredients, specifically things that'll stop bacteria, yeast, molds from growing in your product. We don't usually talk about preservatives as antioxidants, but in food, an antioxidant is going to prevent it from going rancid, prevent oils from going rancid and things. And so then they're talked about food preservatives, but cosmetic preservatives, food preservatives, they're not really the same. All right, let's get to 2 more live questions. We'll go back to the sent in ones. Shiley says, what ingredients would you suggest for a scalp dermatitis and scalp psoriasis formula? I don't really have.
I would. I guess it depends on. What's the product format? Is this like a cream or something like that they want to help with? Definitely, if they're going to make claims against those disease conditions, then they're in Drugville. So.
And that's the thing.
You could say compatible with or won't exacerbate. But definitely the treating a disease like dermatitis is definitely a drug product. So
it's outside the realm of what cosmetic chemists would do. So I would recommend talking to a dermatologist for things like that. Geetha says, is there any alternative to polysorbates in oil cleansers? Probably a naturally derived one. So, Polly, you guys have a polysorbate replacement?
Yeah, we have our own polysorbate replacement. Yeah, our polyshigamol products. And then there's, I think we're seeing more and more viable alternatives out there. I mentioned earlier, the polyglycerol esters. I think are good replacements, good functional replacements for a lot of the traditional emulsifiers. So, but I mean our polyshigamol products have demonstrated some good efficacy in solubilizing, essential oils or fragrance oils, or being emulsifiers. But we're not the only game in town. So.
Someone just asked, how do you use carbomer in a shampoo? I would say very carefully.
Grades. Lubrizol, has the things like the ETD 2020 and other ones that are especially designed for surfactant systems. Really, I prefer to use a liquid form acrylates copolymer or hydrophobically modified acrylates copolymer. These haze, thickeners or rheology modifiers. They're really a lot easier to work with, and again, a lot of companies have them. So you're looking for acrylates copolymer, or the ones that have like the C14 or something type name embedded into them.
Yeah. Mohammed says, what is the concentration percentage of biotin powders and minoxidil powder in wash-off leave-on products? I mean, biotin, it's more of a claims ingredient. It's more of a claims ingredient.
It's definitely, and especially wash-off. I mean, you wouldn't expect. It's so hard to deliver true benefits from wash-off products.
Those kind of benefits,
you got to be real deliberate in what you're doing there. So,
yeah. All right, let's go back to some that were sent in. We're going to switch gears here. Well, let's go back to the industry. Let's see. In previous Chemist Corner, parabens and silicones seem to be acceptable to the experts. So are they safe? And why do companies promote whatever product there is by saying paraben free and silicone free? And Jill wants to know.
Yeah. Well, you can't. I mean, I guess there's guidance in the EU that you're not supposed to promote as free from
claims,
ingredients that are recognized by the EU government to be safe and effective for personal care products. So you wouldn't be able to make a free from paraben claim just on a safety standpoint in the EU. Obviously, here in the States, things are a little different. There obviously is a lot of negative baggage with parabens. There were some poorly designed studies that associated parabens, especially in topical products, with breast cancer in particular. And there are some restrictions on some of the longer chain parabens. Isobutyl paraben, for example, is going to be restricted, is already restricted in some other jurisdictions. So definitely, there are some questions around certain products within that broad, chemical class, but certainly the methyl and propyl parabens, which are most commonly used, have pretty much been proven to be safe and effective.
The SCCS has said they're fine to use. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. This is something that I talk about a lot as well. It seems like there's always, especially in the realm of preservatives, there's been this march of, this preservative is on the chopping block, so we're going to rush to the next one. Then that one goes on the chopping block, then we go to the next one. So it's kind of gone like, parabens, formaldehyde donors, Kathon, and now phenoxyethanol. There's a lot of irritation in leave-on products, and so every time there's this march to the everybody go to this, and everybody does, and then once everybody's there, they realize that it's the grass wasn't necessarily greener on the other side.
The biggest challenge with things is that from an effective standpoint, a lot of times these alternatives are not as effective as the ones you're leaving. But from a formulation standpoint, also, one of the common ones to use is organic acids, sorbic acid, sodium benzoate, benzoic acid, those sorts of things. And the problem with those is, it's hard to make an emulsion with all those electrolytes in your formula.
Right. Yeah. So there are definitely challenges, and I think, the industry is working hard to respond to those challenges and come out with new ingredients all the time. Certainly there's more available today to help the formulator replace and move towards other options. I can't say that there are better options because
they're just
I think it's right. And so there's I think an application area and places where certain preservatives are better suited, but that's again, I think people will take something like Kathon and put it everywhere, and so we know that there's a certain I hate to, maybe I shouldn't be using a trade name, but it's known that there are some contact sensitization issues associated with the isothiazolinones, and
very well documented. Yeah.
Yeah, and so those do need to be avoided in leave-on products, but maybe not the worst thing for rinse off. But the industry still wants to move away because of the negative connotation in that regard. So.
Yeah, it's preservatives is going to be a big challenge. I think one of the really big challenges to any raw material company making new raw materials is trying to prove safety, right? Mm-hmm. The FDA does not, for some things, it doesn't accept anything other than animal testing, right? And for EU, you can't do animal testing.
Right. Yeah. There's in the news, recently a whole big, I guess, kerfuffle, between ECHA, which is the organization within the EU which assesses, safety of chemicals, and the cosmetics industry with regards to whether or not animal testing needs to be done on some ingredients for personal care because of the volumes at which those ingredients are now being used. So it's a big issue. Everybody wants to say that they're completely free of animal testing, and to a certain extent, we've been able to do that because we have a library of older data that we could read across and use, and there are more and more models, things like QSAR, that are helping us predict toxicity, but we're just not quite there yet. And there's we need to be safe.
Yeah, but there's things that we won't get there anytime soon. Like if you want to do inhalation testing.
Right. Yeah.
How are you gonna figure? We don't have an artificial lung where we can.
No. Again, you have to try to predict based on all the information you already have, and that's using really sophisticated models that try to look at these molecules and their similarities, to other things that have known data. But it's a challenge. It's a huge challenge.
It is, and preservatives are especially challenging. All right. Boy, we're not getting through as many as that's fine. Here's one that says
it's like the scroll's just going.
Max says, if I want to launch an anti-aging product, namely a hybrid solution of water cream, can I call it an anti-aging treatment on the bottle? And am I obligated to list all the ingredients?
Well, you're certainly obligated to list any intentionally added ingredients.
Yeah, for sure. So yes, full stop. Yes, you're supposed to follow the naming conventions of the INCI dictionary, and so at least that's everywhere in the world. So you have to leave. As far as whether you can call something anti-aging, there's no definition legally in the United States or really around the world about what anti-aging means. So you make a moisturizer, it's anti-aging.
Yeah, I mean, there's there's regulating bodies. What's going to happen is you're going to launch your anti-aging thing, and somebody's going to say, well, I wasn't allowed to say that. And they're going to go to the advertising division, the NED or something like that, and file a complaint against you. And they're going to say, well, show me your anti-aging data. And then, there'll also be probably some consideration about, FDA, structure function again as well. And,
It all depends on how you're writing those claims and what you're supporting that. So if you want to say anti-aging, by all means do it, but have some reason that it could stand up in court that proves that it is. Right?
Yeah, it's gonna start with an strongly worded letter, and it's gonna go downhill from there. So.
Here's one from Nikki. Do nail hardeners with formalin need buffering agents? I haven't worked a lot.
I've never done nail. So I'm going to defer to somebody who's done nail to answer a question.
We're going to have to get Doug Schoon on.
Right, yeah.
The nail guy. Sorry, I don't know if you need buffering. I'm not sure. Evelyn says, how do you buy new green products that require purchases of large packs when a kilo is really all you need in the beginning?
So there are repackers in the industry.
Makingcosmetics.com is one. And there's a
Crafter, Formulator Sample Shop. there's mist oils. There's a whole bunch of them out there. So I'm sure I've missed a bunch, and I'm sorry to all those folks too. So, but yeah, there's a lot of options. You're not going to have you're not going to have a full selection of ingredients. To a certain extent, you're just going to have to deal with that. There are these folks out there. There's another company, Noble Roots, in at the Atlanta area that does a number of products. There's ways to buy smaller quantities. Amazon, eBay. You can also through there. A lot of times,
Alibaba, you can sometimes find stuff. Yeah, but when you go to sources like that, the farther you get away from the person who made that raw material, the less confidence you can have in the quality and whether you're getting what you get. Someone asked us on the Beauty Brains, they said, I bought fractionated coconut oil off of Craigslist. Is it okay? Or how do I know it's not mineral oil? I'm like,
you don't. You don't.
Yeah. That's the problem. When we manufacture cosmetics, we have a specification sheet for all the raw materials. It only comes from one specific supplier. You run these tests, and they run the tests, and you compare them, and that's how you assure quality.
Yeah, and most of the time that involves some sort of ID. FTIR is kind of an industry standard for that to make sure that it's a at least a triglyceride oil of some sort rather than a mineral oil. Those are pretty easy to distinguish by that test. So
that's one of the most challenging aspects of using natural ingredients. Pretty much, how do you tell the difference between extract of plant 1 versus extract of plant 2? Because they both look like propylene glycol to me.
Sometimes some companies will standardize to like a certain percentage of phytosterols or something like that. But the more and more you do that, the more and more you start to just buy that ingredient, and then hey, you know what, you could make that even more higher purity if you do it in a lab, and then now you lo and behold discovered that synthetic chemistry is actually the best way to create effective ingredients, because you know exactly what you're doing.
There was actually a question about that. Let me see if I can call
it's kind of like the whole willow bark and salicylic acid or whatever, so.
Yeah, exactly. Here was someone questioning about. It was a fragrance question.
Is that the hydrosol?
Essentially the question was from Ruben. He says, when using plant or natural green in your formulation, how do you extract the bioactive components of the plant or use it to create a fragrance? Because most of the cosmetics claim they use a natural ingredient, but then they use a synthetic fragrance.
Right. Yeah. So you can get, hydrosols, which are, natural aqueous, components that are fragrant. There are fragrance companies out there. Essential oils are essentially, naturally sourced. They require some, oil pressing and fractionation and all that stuff to isolate and purify for you, but that's kind of the way to go. So
and all I'd say about that is you want to just consider when you're getting a natural ingredient like that, something. If you want strawberry extract does not smell like strawberries.
The aqueous extract is going to have different components. Yeah,
exactly. And also, synthetics also can be more efficient. If you wanted to get rose oil, it takes like 10,000 roses to get 5 mils of rose oil. But you can make it in a lab.
When we're talking about natural and sustainable, there's definitely some significant trade-offs there. Sandalwood's another one,
Right, exactly. Here's a question from Jennifer, which I think would be nice to get you to chime in. In your expert opinions, what are the best occlusive moisturizer alternatives to petrolatum and mineral oil?
So you're going to be looking for natural waxes, true waxes and butters, squalane. You can get the olive, squalane, something that's going to be fairly bulky. something, hopefully that's it's gonna feel fairly heavy, because that's what occlusives do. So, but yeah, there are definitely naturally based products that you can use.
Yeah, shea butter. You can. Some people think that. Yeah, so it's
but essentially are natural, occlusive. So
but there's a reason the industry continues to use those ingredients, and it's not because they're trying to rip people off.
The petrolatum and mineral oil allow you the OTC claim of skin protectant, right? And they also, being synthetic, are high. They can control for all the impurities, and so they can make them very safe as well. So
I saw a question. It was about shea butter. Let me see. He said he was in San Antonio, Texas, right? And makes a shea butter one. And then how do you prevent it from melting in the hot temperatures when you're trying to ship it?
You're going to have to include some higher melt waxes. So whatever it takes to to get that melt point of the whole thing up is going to be advantageous. There's
if you could say paraffin wax would probably help that out, or
again, that if I'm assuming if they're formulating a shea butter product, they probably like natural, and paraffin's probably not going to be the right thing. So
that is a good point.
Potentially, like beeswax or carnauba wax, all those things will help get the melt point up. You just have to kind of mess with the
candelilla wax. I think.
Right.
Yeah, so it just takes some tinkering with the formulas there. What do we get here? I'm creating ferment. Taya says, I'm creating a fermented product. How do you keep the delicate system intact through emulsification? This question's a little vague for me. I'm not sure I understand.
I guess I'm not sure either, but I think there's maybe a question in there about emulsion stabilization, and we talked earlier, towards the beginning of this, about things like xanthan and guar and cellulosics and things like that, which are great, water phase emulsion stabilizers that will help lengthen shelf life of emulsions, make sure that those oil and that oil and water stays separate. So
okay, we just got about 9 more minutes on our schedule here, Dennis. We're not going to get to all of these. We're going to have to bring you back for part 2.
No.
Here's one before it goes away. Nicholas, what would be a good anhydrous thickener and suspending agent other than silica or polyglutamate?
You can do clays here. I'm assuming they mean an anhydrous system, so there's
I think so.
Be any water in the system, and then it's like this keeps escaping me, but there are some there are, again, like high molecular weight esters that are used to gel oils, basically.
Essentially, they're like mini emulsion systems, and then you use that to thicken up the oil. So but I will say it's a difficult problem. All right. Let's see. We're going fast and furious here. Do you have a favorite preservative for flour water hydrolytes?
Again,
DMDM hydantoin is my
favorite. Performance here is obviously going to be key because you want it to work well. It needs to keep it preserved. That's definitely something that's going to be prone to micro growth. That's a lot of water there. And then positioning is really going to be the key here. Kathon's probably going to take care of that really well, but if that doesn't fit with your brand positioning, then you're going to need to look elsewhere. So
exactly. Could you please suggest a good hair conditioning agent that is going to work on high alkaline pH containing ethnic hair relaxer creams?
Right. So the like methyl chloride quats are going to be pretty stable at high pH. So BTAC, things like that. And
silicones will do that too. They'll do
amodimethicone will be stable. The we have a line of alkyl-polyglucoside-based quats that'll be stable under those conditions.
I just wanted to remind people there's a brochure in the files section that's just above the chat there that you can download, and that has your whole product listing from Colonial.
Yeah, I didn't want to make this whole thing a advertisement for us, so I've been kind of careful to not plug too many of our own products here, but yeah.
I feel no compunction about it. I think you guys are doing great work, and I appreciate the time.
So feel free to check that out, and again, if you have questions, I'm available for sure via email.
Here's a question from Elizabeth about using natural essential oils for candles and room diffusers. That's not an area I work in, so I don't know.
People do it all the time, though. So I would talk to the people that sell the essential oils to you. They should have some ideas for you.
Yeah, great. It says, Olin, I think we answered that one. Nikki, Carbomer, we did that. Pakala says, should the pH of natural lotions be around 5.5?
I think the pH of any lotion should be, a neutral to slightly acidic. So it is ideal for skin compatibility and usually the stability of most of the ingredients in there. So.
And I think the reason that people say that about natural lotions is you're typically using an organic acid as your preservative, and those only work at pHs of 5.5 or less.
Right, yeah.
Casey, I'm interested in preservative boosters. I use Optifen along with propane diol. Do most emulsions and the combo work well? Just wondering about other natural options.
Yeah, those work perfectly well. If you want other, natural options, then I guess people promote different things. I think there's a lot of stuff out there again that's being promoted as good natural options, especially for lotions. I think you have a lot more latitude in the lotion space for non-preservative preservatives. Things like the glycerol caprolate are a lot more stable. Glycerol laurate a lot more stable in lotions and a lot more compatible in lotions than they are in surfactant systems. We've done some help with folks getting glycerol laurate in the surfactant systems and achieving some enhanced stability there with that. But definitely in the lotion realm, you have a lot more options.
All right, we just have time for a few more questions. And thank you everybody for attending. Thank you, Dennis, for sharing your expertise. I do apologize. We probably there's dozens of questions that we didn't get to.
Yeah, like you said, it's been like a continuous scroll all for the entire hour here. So.
Yeah, and a lot of the questions, they start to drop off. I think I only have a buffer of 100, so keep listening.
Oh, geez. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Does it keep them for the future?
I'm able to save them all, so after this, I'll be able to download all the questions. Yeah. But here, let's see if we can.
If you need me to chime in on any of those, let me know.
Yeah, we'll get a couple of more here. What is the best emulsifier which is stable in sulfate-free shampoos formulating?
That's emulsifier for maybe they want to incorporate like an oil into a sulfate-free shampoo, and this is a question that I get a lot as well, and so I think it's worth covering here for a second. Is that generally the surfactants that are very good at foaming and detergency are not good emulsifiers.
Right.
So it's very difficult to put triglyceride oil into a shampoo without some sort of emulsion system. You have to look at what else is in there. Electrolytes are going to start to become important here. The foam potential of the product is going to be diminished, and so surfactant solution is going to start to become very important. So really difficult to do clear shampoo with oil in it. Again, I think the best bet is to to get the oil in, get a good mix on it. Maybe if you have like a rotostator that can go under the surface that won't turn a lot of air into it, and then stabilize the whole thing with like a carbomer, acrylates copolymer, xanthan, something like that to help keep that oil from migrating.
Usually, you'd use a solubilizer also, to blend the oil with the solubilizer.
Yeah. Well, solubilizer, you're basically creating a microemulsion. The oil droplets are so small that they don't interfere with the light. The oil droplets smaller than the wavelength of light, and again, that's very difficult to do in a surfactant system with a triglyceride oil. Right. Now, fragrance oils are different. They don't have that alkyl, the hydrophobe, and so fragrance oils are water insoluble because they're just not polar. And so they're easier to solubilize than a triglyceride or butter or wax or those types of things that a lot of people are trying now. It's like, how do I get coconut oil into my shampoo? I think this is the question that we get a lot and can be somewhat challenging. So,
and my answer to that is don't put coconut oil in your shampoo.
Right? Yeah, maybe consider putting it in somewhere else, like the conditioner.
Right. Put it in the conditioner.
A lot easier to incorporate. Yeah.
I will say when I was first started as a formulator, I was on the VO5 brand, and we had a VO5 shampoo with jojoba oil, and I thought, hey, why don't I just put a lot more in there?
Because it was like what, like 0.00.
It was like 0.001%, I think. So I just had this dropper, and like took a bottle and I put it in there, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna really home. And then it just got all cloudy and that didn't home. So you can't just do that. All right, I think we have. Wow, that hits us to the top of the hour. How about we get one more question? I'm going to do a random spin here. Thank you, everybody who asked questions. Here you go. Nadia, you get the last question. Nadia says, can I make a cosmetic claim based on published scientific research, specifically plant-based research from the NIH?
No, I mean, you could use that information to certainly help educate you in terms of your direction that you want to go in to do your own clinical research. But there's really so much involved in terms of the like, say, for a lotion or something like that, the vehicle, is in many cases 90% of the efficacy or non-efficacy in a lotion. So you could have the same quote unquote active ingredient in two different lotions. One can give you your desired clinical benefit, and the other can be completely ineffective because of vehicle effects.
This is one of the reasons people ask, occasionally ask whether they can just use the supplier's data about a raw material to support their own claims.
This is something that a lot of companies get dinged on by the NAD and the FTC, where they're making claims based on supplier data and not doing their own clinical studies. And the NAD will review and they'll say, "Oh, you didn't do enough work here. You need to get rid of that claim." Again, that's your strongly worded letter. Then if you keep going, then turns into FTC complaint, and then it turns into fines and getting product recalls and things like that. So, like I said, it starts with a strongly worded letter and it goes downhill from there.
But the bottom line is, just because somebody publishes something in the NIH, and even if it's great research, you have to do the research on your product, on your formulation to be able to make those claims.
Yeah, and don't confuse, PubMed with, proven clinical research. A lot of times they're, not all the journals that they index are, on the same quality level. A lot of times they're really almost like preclinical studies, small groups, just look what we found, type of data. They don't really prove anything.
All right. With that brings us to the top of the hour. I like to be timely. You guys signed up for an hour Q&A, and that's what you got. So sorry we didn't get to lots of questions, but we're going to download those, and we have your email. We can answer them directly that way. If you sent in questions prior to this, we covered a bunch of them, but there were a bunch that we didn't get to. If we got your email from there, we're also going to cover that. I think maybe next time, Dennis, we're going to have to even focus it even more still.
Yeah.
But I think this worked out well.
Yeah, emulsifiers are surfactants. Products that we're selling you guys and all everybody else in the industry are safe and definitely focus on performance, and let's not try to scare people into buying our product.
Absolutely. Fear marketing, it works, just don't use it. All right, thanks again, everyone. There's still the offer. You can try out our raw material course. It's just an overview of all the raw materials in 9 modules. You can get a coupon using the coupon code. You get some money off by the end of the month. And I thank you all. Dennis, I'm going to give you the last word.
That was my last word.
There you go.
Cheers. Yeah, stay safe.
Wear a mask.
Yeah, be well all.
All right. Thanks, everybody, and we will see you in the forums.
Okay.
Hello, Dennis. You on there?
Yeah, I am. Can you? I need to turn my camera on. Hold on.
Oh, wait. I need to turn my. Do you hear my? Go ahead and talk.
I can hear you well.
Oh, okay. Good.
Okay.
There we go. I think everything's working now. Yay.
Excellent. Oh, wow. We've already got a crowd.
Yeah, we've already got 46 people online. We've got Harsh from India. Hello. We got Bhagrav from India. There you go. Hello. So we've got a good crowd now. What time would it be in India, you think? Dennis, maybe
it's
7 p.m.
It's like a half hour, then plus whatever. I think it's like 9.5 hours or something.
Oh, all right.
9.5 hours, something like that. Yeah.
Well, welcome aboard. And then we've got Makazana from South Africa. Wow. Excellent. Wow, we've got people from all over the world right now. Dennis, where are you located?
I am located in New York State.
New York State, upstate, not in the big city. Yeah.
Not in the city, yeah.
And I am located in Chicago. This is the middle of the United States. He's saying it's 11:20 p.m. Well, thanks so much for staying awake. We should have a good program here today. Lots of questions. Dennis, you saw those questions that were sent in, huh?
Yeah, a lot of questions. It's good. Yeah,
a number of questions. Yeah, and if you guys are online and you have some questions, some formulation questions you want to make sure that we get covered, we will be sure to post them in the chat box there, and we will get to those too. Let me just get one of my links going so I can see the chat room on a separate one there. Okay, there you go. This is all very complicated stuff behind the scenes. Des, how's the pandemic treating you? You guys doing okay? Everyone safe and healthy?
Yeah, been working from home for, I guess, well, not quite 6 months now, but yeah, getting close. So unfortunately, I had a work from home job for the most part already. So I haven't been in the lab for close to 2 years. So, but definitely, I used to be out, in the field talking to customers and trade shows and things like that. So that's all been put on hold, for now until.
All the trade shows have been scuttled this year, right?
Yeah, there were a couple laggards. The INCAS Asia, they hadn't announced until just yesterday. So that's officially postponed until 2021.
Oh, was it? Because was that November? I remember seeing it was November, but I did
first
not
week of
notice
November, right? Yeah,
next year.
Yeah,
I missed
there's Sapava, which is a industry show in Germany. And right now, they're still moving ahead with a hybrid model. They do plan on being restricted on the number of physical attendees, but we were expecting to hear something maybe this week in terms of an update from them.
Interesting.
Europe just had a holiday this Monday, so
Well, I was involved in organizing the trade show here in Chicago called Teamworks. It's a raw material trade show we have every other year. And originally it was scheduled for April. We postponed it to October, and now we're going to go all virtual. We're going to try something interesting. We're going to do just one day, I'm calling it a raw material summit, but we're going to go for 8 or 9 hours. I'm not sure. But we're going to have each hour, we're going to pick a different raw material topic and do like a 20-minute introduction on it, and then maybe 30 minutes of supplier new product thing, and then do like a panel discussion at the end. So
great. I guess the Society of Cosmetic Chemists also officially went virtual with their annual meeting.
The annual December meeting, yeah. It's this virus has changed everything. Well, while we wait, we're going to get started in 8 minutes, according to my clock. If you're just arriving, why don't you put in the chat room where you're from? There's Ola from Egypt, Dennis. And right now it's almost 8 o'clock in Egypt. There you go.
Right, yeah.
Andy from Ork. Hello, Andy. Gertrude from Nigeria. You know, we do get a lot of people contacting us from Nigeria. I wish I knew more about the market there and how to get raw materials and things there. I often get that question, like, how do I get this ingredient? And, you know, I don't know the market well enough.
Right. Yeah. There are, Middle East and Africa's sometimes their own separate market in a lot of cases. So it's often hard to get materials from, mid-tier companies like ourselves. We have some distribution in the Middle East and Africa, but I would say it's not that extensive. So
yeah, and we have a lot of people from India. How in India is, do you know anything about the raw material market there?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of a lot better coverage there. So we distribute through a major Indian distributor. So
they actually do have an SCC group in India. They're part of the member of the IFSCC, but you could go to the ifscc.org to get contact information for them. But there's a lot. Uludoya Dai. I'm sorry about pronouncing the names. I'm not great at it, but she's from he or she from Lagos, Nigeria. And then so we've got people from all over the world.
Yeah. We got Tiffany from Memphis, Tennessee. We're headquartered just on the other side of the state, just outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee. So
that's right.
Kind of local. I used to live in Tennessee until I moved here.
You know, I'm doing a trip tomorrow. We're leaving tomorrow, and we're driving because don't fly anywhere. Right. But we're gonna be stopping in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
On our way to the Outer Banks of Georgia or something like that. So,
nice. The Outer Banks are very nice. Yeah, it's a good time to go. Yeah. Once school's underway, so you got most of the tourists are out of the way, and the water will be warm.
Beaches won't be crowded.
Yeah.
So, there you go. We are going to get started in just 5 minutes, but before we do that, Dennis, let's get to know you a little bit. How did you get started in the cosmetic industry? I know I first met you when you were at McIntyre, right?
Right. Yeah. So I guess I haven't moved around a lot. I was in a college in the Chicago area, and
did you get a degree in chemistry then?
In chemistry, right? Yeah. And one of my classmates said to me one day, says, I work, not far from the university here. Would you like a job? And I was like, sure. Sounds good. So
I guess that's how easy it is to get into the cosmetic industry.
When you just have it just so happened, that worked out, well for me in that regard. But yeah, I was actually working as a QA analyst even before I'd graduated college. Wow. So then I worked with McIntyre for about 11 years. Then I went to Alberto Culver
That's
doing
we worked together there. Yeah.
So McIntyre was a surfactants manufacturer.
Then they
They
got
were
bought by
purchased by Rhodia, and Rhodia
Rhodia,
got
right?
purchased. That part of it got purchased by Solvay. So
That's
so
right.
people that are familiar with Solvay surfactants, especially Macam or Macanate or Macest or any of those products, those were all things that I worked on from a like process development and application standpoint. So, and then then I went to Alberto Culver, which was no longer exists. They are
Got
now
bought out by
part of
Unilever.
Unilever. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I was doing finished goods formulation, and then like technology searching and stuff for the St. Ives brands, which included, or the Culver skincare brands, which included St. Ives, Noxzema, and Simple. So,
Noxzema, that came on board after I had already left.
right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was towards the end of the Alberto. And then Simple was right at the end. So we were still in the process of introducing Simple to the U.S. market when the acquisition happened. So
that was 2009, I believe, right?
sounds about right. Yeah, because so I started with Colonial in 2011.
Okay.
And so I've been with Colonial Chemical, again, another specialty surfactants manufacturer. I've been with them for 9 years now. So.
Yeah, and that's a growing business. I see them a lot more prevalent in the cosmetic industry than previous years. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's we are in a, I guess, fast growth stage right now. Not a lot of mid-tier players in the surfactants industry.
Yeah.
A lot of it's dominated by Stepan, Solvay, Croda, and Evonik.
Exactly. Hey, Dennis, look, Bob Martini checked in.
Bob Martini, yes.
Yeah, we know.
I know that guy.
Chris from Florida. Hello, Chris. Sabina from Austria, all the way from Austria. So we've got people all over the world. We're going to get started answering questions in just 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Boy, Dennis, we've got about 125 people online already. Mm-hmm. So right now your focus area now is pretty much in greener surfactants.
Right. Yeah. So Colonial Chemical is, like I said, a specialty surfactants manufacturer, and we within that, have laid our stake, for a number of years now in greener and safer technologies. And so we develop new products along the principles of green chemistry. So we're looking at, increasing bio-based content, reducing byproducts, eliminating waste, and making sure that the end life of, the surfactants that we produce is environmentally compatible. So.
Well, I think you guys have found a pretty interesting niche. It's certainly in the surfactant and the emulsifier area. Yeah. All right, looks like we're almost 1 minute away. I just saw Anatoly from Stepan checked in. Hey, Anatoly. David from Nigeria. Casey from Cambridge, Massachusetts. And we have somebody from Cuba. Erlis from Cuba. Hello. Have you been to Cuba, Dennis?
I have not. I was born in Colombia, South America.
Were you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, a little known fact, but
now it is a big known fact.
Yeah, 153 people now know. So,
that's right.
So but yeah, but I've lived in this country most of my life. So.